Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
See, I don't know about y'all, but like for real, I don't mind being talked about. My problem come in when they start making stuff up. So you can talk about me all you want. It is what it is. You know, it's either I did it or I didn't. I said it or I didn't. Whatever the case is, I don't care. I let whoever think whatever, feel whatever. That's on them. You know what I'm saying? But it's the making up part. It's the lying part. It's the adding on to part that always get me. I don't mind being talked about. It's when y'all start lying that bothers me.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Well, good morning. Everybody's in the house already this morning. Just got through the intro. We already have 155 people in chat. Good morning, you crazy early birds, you. What a busy day I have today. No different. Yesterday, sorry about that, with the Alex Murdaugh trial. I was actually watching the trial, and then somebody started talking to me, and I turned my head and I get in a conversation, and then I start hearing my phone zzz, 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 everybody telling me The trial's over. I just wanted to see if you guys were awake. Besides that, you guys like chatting in the chat anyways, so might as well keep it up a little longer. So I had an opportunity to go to an event. I spoke to yet again another politician about our children's database and about the problems going on in our children. And most of the time, I just say we can agree that a lot has changed since 1965. You know, that usually gets their attention because our policies haven't changed since 1965, which is disgusting. So I'm working on it. Many of you guys know I am going to DC. And believe it or not, Okie Crime News, we're going to be able to catch up and meet in person. So I'm kind of excited about that. We're going to try to do dinner. And you know, I love meeting people that love doing good in this world. And we have the same passion. The children are our passion. Trying to make meaningful changes is passion that a lot of us you know, have together. I mean, if that's nothing more, I mean, that's at least the foundation that we build upon. So before we get too far, we got a lot of this stuff, a lot of crazy stuff in the news today. We're going to be doing some updates, but there is quite a bit. I got lots to go over. So I'm probably not going to be opening the phone lines today. We're probably just going to go over it so you guys are updated around the country of what's going on. And trust me, we are not short of any kind of news or crime news for that. You know, in that vein anyways. Good morning, Nana of 7, first to say good morning to me in chat, followed by Karen Davis with some loving information. Don't forget to like as you guys come in this morning. Jennifer L, freshly out of surgery, hobbling around, still has time for Bullhorn Betty and channel. Nice to see you. Brandy, good morning. Who else do we have? We have Dana. Sheila, Sean, nice to see you, Sean. Good morning. Number 11, she says, so get those thumbs up. Maria G, Ashley, Nana of 12. Got to speak to her the other day, and it is true. She pulls her hair out every time she gets on. No, I'm just I'm just joking. We love kids. We love kids. Cool Gamer, nice to see you. Melly Joe, Vape King in the house. Beautiful minds, bean feathers. I love that. Truth we hide. Thank you again. I don't know if you saw, I did get your gift, the Stream Deck. Thank you. And God bless you for your contribution. I will be getting that up and running. Hopefully this week. I'm going to be playing around with it and getting my hotkeys set up. So thank you so much for all your love and support. M&M Racing, just an old lady in the house. Help me, Rhonda, GT, Angie Gibson, BJ Stang, BJ Stang 2020. Well, it's better than BJ Stank, right? You must have a Mustang, or at least a Mustang enthusiast. And that could be even for horses, right? If you're a horse lover. Where is my, there it is. So it's nice to see you guys. Who else do we have in the house? Pink is in the house. Pen 1010. Michelle. Lucky Ducky. Belinda. Ricky Beavers. I forgot to call you yesterday. It was crazy yesterday. I was doing this whole thing. I need to call you. I got some things going on this morning, but hopefully, and actually this afternoon, because I'm meeting with the attorney this afternoon from Tennessee. But I have some ideas for you, Ricky. I have some ideas, and I wanted to bounce them off of you and chat with you. So, oh, sorry, just trying to get my cup of coffee, trying to wake up. I've been up since 4, which is an hour late than I have been getting up like the last 2 weeks. I've been getting up around 3:30, kind of 4ish, I guess. But Valerie, nice to see you. Van Lady in the house. Nani McPoppins. Damien, nice to see you guys. Did I say hi to Angie B? I'm not sure. For the rest of you, good morning. Oh, C12. Nice to see you. GG for life. I'm sweet as sugar. I still keep seeing Manic Mama T. Did I miss any? Mama Bear is in the house. Amanda. You guys are such beautiful people. Thank you all for being here. And for those that I missed in chat, good morning to all. And as I said, we have literally so much to go over. One is this. We're going to go over some new information, just some news in general, not necessarily specific to cases, but I know that we've been talking about how crazy this world is, with all the bombs and derailments and explosions all over the country. It's getting me a little concerned, but we're not going to pay attention to that today. Here is a story of 3 males arrested, and this is not just all. 3 male arrested after 15-year-old Georgia girl shot in the head while in bed. A 15-year-old girl was found dead, apparent head injury in the metropolitan Atlanta apartment on Tuesday. And investigators say 3 teens are suspects and 3 teen suspects are responsible. So Peachtree City Police said that a girl was found about 6 a.m. in her bed at Green's Braylon, I can't pronounce it, apartments. The victim has been identified as Madison Guesween. Police said she was shot in the head, but the final cause of death will be determined by the medical examiner. They have identified Justice Smith, which is pretty bad for a name, Jacobine Brown, and Yeshua Mathis. 3 defendants are 18 years old, and they're from the Fayetteville area. So just a sad, oh, thank you. Oh, God bless you. God bless you. Thank you, Mama Bear. So just a lot, more. This is in the Atlanta area. I don't know if you guys remember Dolly. He was talking. I travel, but I don't stay in one place too long. I think the longest place I've ever stayed was Chatham County for Quentin Simon, and there was a need for me to be there. I mean, the police, the corruption, everything. People can't even walk down the road. Yet you got a child murderer living in her bedroom when she's on double probation and can't pass a P test. So. That's the kind of policing they do there. So there was definitely a need for us to be there and expose that. But Dolly had said one time, and I remember hearing it on his live, and he said something to the effect of, he's never seen a place so violent as Atlanta. And I was actually taken back. I mean, Chicago, I could think of a million places, but he knows, no, it's very, very violent there in Atlanta, Georgia. And obviously these came from Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know how the child got killed, but again, bad news from Atlanta, Georgia. And we're just going to keep moving on with the stories for today because they don't really get that much better. This is going into the Gabby Petito. Many of you guys know that my name was derived from the work I did in front of Brian Laundrie's house with my bullhorn and protesting because again, we got boots on the ground there very quickly. We were able to find out a great deal of information from being boots on the ground. And we found out very early on that the Laundrie parents were very much aware of what their son had done, even though we got mega backlash, a lot of support, a lot more support than the backlash, but we still did get a hefty amount of backlash for our work in front of the Laundrie house. And come to find out, the tables have turned. The Petito family and Schmidt family is suing the Laundrie family. And we're finding out that the majority of everything that we found to be true is true. And that's actually the grounds in which they're suing the Laundrie parents on. So the idea that we're some dumb people out here just trying to get clicks and views and things like that, it couldn't be further from the truth. We do good work. And regardless of whether we're approved by all or not, it's no consequence to me. I would never change anything that I do. I stand on the work that I do. I stand on my statements made. And, sometimes they help families even after the crime has been resolved and things of that nature because of the work we did. Look at all the good that is coming out of that for the Petitos and Schmidt family. And nobody can take that away, period. Nobody can take that away. So anyways, we know that Stephen Bertolino, the crappy slimeball attorney, Stephen Bertolino, he was added to the lawsuit. It made the legal community turn on its head. Not me, because even though these reporters that are in crime and law, and some of them are attorneys, they feel that they're above the law. They do. They think they can do whatever they want. They are held to a very high standard as lawyers. You cannot lie on behalf of your client. You cannot commit perjury on behalf of your client. These are things that I believe that Bertolino worked with this family on to help craft their defense prior to there ever being any charges. He was hired, and I kept screaming that in my bullhorn. How long before Brian got back home was Stephen Bertolino hired? Right? Stephen Bertolino, in my opinion, kept the Laundrie family from being arrested for their crimes. They should have been arrested. The stuff that's being alleged and that will ultimately be proven in a civil action should have been one that was criminal. And I am ashamed that the FBI, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, as well as Northport Police did nothing to those parents for what they did. They helped, they were accessories after the fact. They helped clean up the van when he returned home, obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence. Those parents did. Those parents aren't even above going out and taking a shovel and helping him bury a body, allegedly. So Stephen Bertolino was added to the lawsuit successfully. They tried to keep him out of the lawsuit because he's an attorney. He has, privileges asserted to him unless he does something in violation of his oath, which they are claiming he did. So he is not above the law. In this country, you can be sued and sue. And that is exactly what they did. They have successfully added him to the lawsuit. Well, he has filed. Now, this is a typical. So when you're for trial strategy, for legal strategy, typically when you get a complaint, you have 20 days to answer that complaint here in the state of Florida. It may differ from state to state, but here in the state of Florida, you have 20 days to respond to that complaint. If you provide an answer without the motion to dismiss, you have failed to. You can't allege a motion to dismiss later. So as typical in this type of strategy, you always file a motion to dismiss. Well, for me, I would file a motion to enlarge to buy some additional time. And then when that was ruled on, then I'd be prepared with a motion to dismiss. And then that would have to go and be ruled on before I'm required to answer. So you're kind of prolonging that process. So instead of it being 20 days, you could probably garner maybe 30 or 45 days additional timing to delay the process. And that's what he's doing. Typically, a motion to dismiss is, if you're lacking conditions precedent. What is a condition precedent? So, for example, say in a mortgage foreclosure, right? They're required to give you a default letter 30 days prior to bringing a lawsuit. And this has to be, it's very specific on what needs to be in that default letter about the amount, the address, all this stuff has to be in a specific order, and it has to be contained within that letter. If something's missing from that letter, then it doesn't constitute a letter of default. A letter of default cannot be cured after the lawsuit has initiated. So it is a condition precedent. It's something that has to take place prior to anyone initiating a lawsuit. For example, in this example, it was a mortgage foreclosure. So those are types of things that you would want to raise in a motion to dismiss. If all the defendants aren't listed, that would be another reason to state that. If for example, there's just a number of things, but this is a delay tactic. So you're looking at procedural stuff. Is there anything that can get this dismissed early on? Some of them are very successful. They have meat to the bone, and there have been, cases have been dismissed without prejudice, meaning that the plaintiff can refile and open a new case back up. For this one, they didn't follow the rules. They didn't have the conditions precedent. they grant the motion to dismiss. However, based upon his motion to dismiss, I doubt highly he is going to be able to dismiss himself out of this case. And with this being his second, it says defendant Bertolino's motion to dismiss a second amended complaint. And when you kind of read through it, it's just basically not a whole, let me see if I can pull this up. So it only has the first page on it. And it just basically says that counts 3 and 6 against newly included parties. He's trying to say that he can't be added because he's a newly included party. Typically, these things say et al, or they say, you know, defendant or co-defendant 1, 2, and 3. And then as the trial goes forward, they start removing those defendants 1, 2, and 3. They're there. They're almost like an anonymous person, if you will, just in case they need to add that to it. So I'm not sure how he's going to handle that, but he can be added absolutely without a doubt to a case. And not only that, but the judge has ruled that he can be. So I don't think that this is going to get anywhere. I think this is more of a delay tactic, more so than anything else. You know, he just doesn't want to provide an answer. He doesn't want to go through this, and he's going to have to prepare himself for trial. Happy Thursday, rainy day here in Connecticut. Nap day. I wish I get a nap day today, but today I'm going to be little, what is it? What is it? The Road Runner? That's going to be me for the day. I'm going to be the Road Runner. So that's an update on Gabby Petito's case. And again, this is more of the same. This is her face. I mean, guys, that's what upset me so much, is because I am a product of domestic violence as a child, and as I was exposed to it as a child, and I experienced it as a young teen and into my adult years. When you're hurt like that after so long, you do start fighting back. Okay, so this idea that a domestic violence survivor doesn't fight back is ridiculous. I know I fought back. I know there's been a couple times that I actually fought for my life when I was 15 years old and had a knife stuck up to my neck by the guy I was dating at 15 years old. I was fighting for my life. He went to jail. There's a lot of stories like that I have, because it wasn't just one person. It was the type of person that I was attracted to. And, you know, sometimes even now, I don't date is I don't trust myself to get it right. And I'm tired of being abused, either mentally, physically, spiritually, you know, so it just, I don't know. It is what it is. But this woman here, Gabby Petito, she was beaten. She was abused. And I know abuse. And I know that there's no way that they lived with his parents and his parents be none the wiser to his abuse on Gabby. And I screamed that. And I knew that. And anybody that has been in that situation knows that there is no way that they could have lived with their parents for 2 years and the parents never be none the wiser of the conduct of their own child. And obviously the type of parents he has, it is no different. So this is just Mike Ruiz. Mike Ruiz was a Fox News videographer that was out there with us for weeks. Got to meet him personally, got to know him personally. I don't keep in contact with him. I know Olivia keeps in contact with him a lot more than I have. But again, you know, he was out there with us, and he's a good guy, and he really tries to report the news as it is. He doesn't really deal with a whole lot of pressure. It doesn't appear that he deals with a whole lot of pressure from his organization. He keeps to the facts as he sees them. And he's just talking a little more about the Laundrie family attorney, Stephen Bertolino, was added to the lawsuit in December, and now he has a lawyer of his own asking the courts to dismiss Gabby Petito's parents' complaint against him, arguing there's no basis for him to be sued under the circumstances. And obviously, they already went to court to make sure they could add him. So we're just going to read through here. Maybe you'll have a little more information than that tweet that we just saw. And it's an attorney for Stephen Bertolino, New York lawyer who represents Brian Laundrie's parents represented Brian Laundrie's parents throughout the Gabby Petito case is asking a Florida judge to dismiss the slain travel blogger's parents' civil complaint against him. Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt sued Christopher. I hate when they pop up like that. Sued Christopher and Roberta Laundrie last year. Allegedly, they caused emotional distress and attempted to help their son escape justice. In December, they added Bertolino to the lawsuit in a second amended complaint. There is no factual basis or precedent under the law for the plaintiff to maintain this lawsuit against me, Bertolino told Fox News Digital on Wednesday. The motion to dismiss filed on my behalf sets forth the legal arguments that we maintain warrant dismissal of this action. Authorities found Brian Laundrie's remains in a Florida swamp near his parents' home on October 20th, 2021, weeks after he was believed to have killed Gabby Petito at a campsite north of Jackson, Wyoming. And many of you guys know we were out there. And maybe we needed to refresh because we've got so many new members. Maybe it's time to go back into the chronicles and pull up some of our footage. I've got footage of Gabby Petito, the first case I ever covered. I've got literally so much content that has never seen anybody's eyes. And there's no news reporter that has it. There's no documentary company that has it. It was footage that I acquired of these, of everything, including the interviews with lawn care workers that were never even asked if they saw Brian Laundrie the day in question. They were out there. They saw the Mustang. I've got it all. I've got it all. Nobody has even seen the footage that I have. So I think because this is starting to wind up with the civil case, I think I'm going to start going back into the history and pulling up some of the content I have and sharing that with you so you guys can get a bird's eye view of what happened and all the work we did out there. This was not just a protest in front of a house. We only did, 5 minutes on the Bullhorn on the top of every single hour. We let law enforcement know what we were doing. We let the community know what we were doing. And the community not only supported it, but embraced it and then came out there to join with us. So that is really what happened. Let me see what else we got. And just her face, just seeing all those bruises all over her face and to hear that a mother is going to help. Now, mind you, Gabby Petito lived with the Laundries, folks. I want to be very clear. She lived with them. They knew her personally. From my findings, Gabby, and this is no disrespect to her parents in the least. It really isn't. But Gabby felt lost. Her parents had divorced. They had, families with their spouses. She felt in limbo. That is what I acquired from her friends, that she felt left out. And again, no disrespect to the family, but it explains why she found the comfort in this guy's arms, because she was having family issues. I had family issues. I understand that. I understand that. Absolute. This is an interesting update. I don't know, some of you guys have been true crime junkies long before I was even born. I won't tell anybody your age, I promise. But here's one from 1974, 5 years before I was even born, before the doctor even patted Bullhorn Betty on her butt, right? So DNA from a cigarette butt linked. And the reason why I like this is because we hear Buddhist monks are some of the nicest, kindest people in the entire world, that they're very centered, that they just take. Well, strangely enough, it was a Buddhist monk that was responsible for a 1974 rape and strangulation death of this beautiful woman in Vermont. In Burlington, Vermont, detectives in Vermont closed a nearly 52-year-old case this week after DNA from a cigarette butt found at the scene identified the main suspect in Rita Karan's rape and death by strangulation. Law enforcement officials from Burlington Police Department spoke at a press conference Tuesday, February 21st, including Detective James Tribe. I don't know if I'm saying his name, Tribe, who invested Karen's case with his team over the course of the last several years. Karan's roommates found her dead July 19th, 1971 in her bedroom at their apartment on Brook Avenue in Burlington. Officers from Burlington Police Department went to the apartment to process the scene and collected evidence. According to the Berlin Police Department on the killing, Karan was found naked on the floor with blood covering her face. She had marks and bruises on her face and body, and her legs were entangled with a sheet and bedspread. The pathologist listed Karan's cause of death as asphyxiation by manual strangulation, but noted she suffered multiple blunt force injuries and contusions. While at the scenes, the detectives discovered a cigarette butt next to Karen's right arm. Tribe said the cigarette butt sat in evidence for over 40 years until his predecessor submitted it to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in New York for testing. Scientists extracted DNA and entered it into CODIS, Combined DNA Index System. CODIS is similar to what I kind of want for our children, right? Something that's attached across this country that can be plugged into anytime to get information. It's almost like that, but didn't get a match. And there she is. So she was a beautiful girl. Too young. The detectives who reopened her case and Tribe and his team of detectives took over. I think it's Tribe for whatever reason. Said that the slaying occurred in a 70-minute window, so he believed the killer must have lived nearby. Police at the time spoke to an upstairs neighbor, William DeRoos, and his wife, and they said they were home together all night. Tribe sent DNA from the cigarette butt to Parabon Nano Labs. The scientists at the labs created a family tree tracing genealogy to William DeRoos. DeRoos' half-brother reportedly took DNA tests, which confirmed Parabon's findings. Parabon noted that the report Williams should be strongly considered as a candidate to be the subject based on the fact that genealogical connections were found to all 5 of the subject's top metric matches. So it sounds like a man that was married that lived in the upstairs from her apartment was responsible. So kudos to new technology, but this again also outlines the fact that law enforcement, and this is going to be, I have another case coming up. And we all know about it. Let's see if I can find it. Is it here? There it is. JonBenet Ramsey, right? DNA in JonBenet Ramsey's case still has not been tested by Boulder Police Department. And the reason why I say this is because this case was open for over 52 years. And they could have had this man in jail a lot sooner had they tested. Hey, whoopsie daisy, nice to see you. Let me just go through here and make sure I'm not missing any questions or anything. Good morning, BHB. Lots of love from Detroit, Michigan. Oh, thank you, Michelle Finch. You guys got problems there with your Department of Children and Family Services. You might be seeing me very soon in Detroit, Michigan. I won't say when, but I don't know how I can sit on my laurels as a child. Not only was known to be abused for years by the Department of Children and Family Services of Detroit and the police department, but the police department had an active warrant for their arrest and failed to serve it, citing that the children only had minor injuries. And then 11 months later, this child is dead. So I have a funny feeling we're going to be bringing that shit show to Detroit, Michigan. So hopefully, Michelle, you might be able to see me in living color. That's a long smoke, not to mention very bad for the guy's health. Is he still alive? Might be. I don't know. I mean, I think they arrested him. But I still find it funny because here they were able to get an arrest after 52 years. After 52 years, they finally found it was the upstairs neighbor. What's going on with JonBenet Ramsey's case? Why haven't they sent this stuff over to Paraben Nano Labs? Why is the Boulder Police Department obstructing justice? Why is the Boulder Police Department obstructing justice in the JonBenet Ramsey case? That's what they're doing. Because they made such horrible mistakes that it is a stain. But the longer they wait, the worse it is. They have allowed a killer to get away because of their arrogance and their failure to take responsibility for their mistakes. And it's sad. So JonBenet Ramsey also, for our topic of conversation, come on, I hate this computer some days. So new JonBenet Ramsey book, former sheriff claims Boulder police ignored crucial DNA evidence, and they still are. They still are. A quarter of a century later, there's still DNA in the JonBenet Ramsey case that has not been tested. And her father has been begging the Boulder Police Department to release that DNA. And I say he needs to get an attorney and he needs to have a court force them. If they won't do it willingly for the sake of the case, make a court order, make a judge force them to. That's, when I have problems, I don't fight with people. I take them to court. That's what I was trained to do. That's what my schooling has taught me to do. There's no need to fight with people. When you've had enough, you take them to court and have a judge decide. And I really do hope John Ramsey is doing that. I really do hope. But let's just read what it says. JonBenet Ramsey might have collected some of the most critical evidence in her own death. And it blocks me from there. So that is the information that we get from Denver. But, Denver is Denver. Right. In Oklahoma, we have a man arrested. A man arrested after woman's remains found at lake. Guy looks a little creepy. I have to be honest with you. Guy looks a little creepy. Norman, Oklahoma. A 30-year-old man was arrested in connection with the death of a woman whose remains were found at a lake earlier this month. We never heard about it, or we weren't listening hard enough. On Monday, February 13th, right before Valentine's Day, at approximately 6:18, Oklahoma State Park Rangers requested assistance from the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, OSBI, after recovering the remains of a woman at Lake Thunderbird. The OSBI used mobile ID technology to scan the victim's fingerprints, and the victim was identified as Carisha Dawn Bell of Wellston. Authorities reportedly classified her death as suspicious. On February 21st, shortly before midnight, OSBI arrested suspect Austin Goodwin on charges of first-degree murder and unlawful disposal of a body. He was booked into Cleveland County Detention Center. The OSBI did not disclose how the victim died nor the suspect's relationship with her. So I'm going to keep this because I'm going to do a public records request to find out if we can find out any additional information about him or his victim. So let me move this over here so I don't lose him. And we'll dive into that just a little bit more. This is interesting. This is kind of true crime, but entertainment news here this morning. And this is the Grammy-nominated rapper, Nipsey Hussle. Remember him? He was killed. He was gunned down. So in Los Angeles, a judge sentenced 33-year-old man convicted of killing Grammy nominee rapper Nipsey Hussle to 60 years to life in prison several months after he was convicted of murder. The Superior Court Judge Clay Jack sentenced Eric Holder Jr. to 25 years to life for first-degree murder, the 25-year-old for firearm enhancement, and 10 years for assault with a firearm for the killing of Ermias. I can't even pronounce the rapper's name, his real name. Ermias? It's Ermias. And I can't even pronounce his last name, to be honest with you. Who is known as Nipsey Hussle. The grand jury convicted Holder in July on charges of first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted voluntary manslaughter, assault with a firearm, and possession of a firearm by a felon. Holder fatally shot Nipsey on March 31st, 2019, outside the artist's clothing store in South Los Angeles. He fled the scene following the shooting, but apprehended 2 days later. Hussle was standing outside Marathon Clothing near Salson Avenue and Crenshaw Boulevard when Holder gunned him down and injured 2 others. According to LA Times, video showed Holder shooting and killing Hussle. Holder's attorney argued the jury should convict Holder on manslaughter instead of murder. Hussle allegedly told Holder there was paperwork on him, meaning a record that Holder was making with police. Aaron Jensen, the attorney, called the paperwork remark a serious accusation. He said during closing arguments, Mr. Holder Jr. took it seriously as it was. He knows the consequences of being called a snitch in this manner. So they're trying to allege that he feared for his life, and therefore he decided to take action into his own hands and gun down the person that he believed was trying to put out a hit on him. So just some gangster stuff. But again, because it was somebody that was a Grammy nominated winner for rapping, this is the gentleman right here. This is his murderer. This man here gunned him down as well as hurting additional 2 other people. And it doesn't stop there. We're going to start getting a little, hold on. Let me get that back. I just killed that. There we go. And in a tidbit of good news, we always hear about children missing in our country, but we never really hear about the good news when they are found. This is an 8-year-old Washington boy that's been missing since June and was found safe in Missouri. So I just wanted to let you guys know that one of our children have been found and are safe. The 8-year-old boy has been missing since June 2022. Was found alive and safe in Missouri last week following months-long search for him. The FBI Seattle announced that Breedson John was successfully recovered Friday, February 17th in Joplin County, Missouri. According to the FBI Missing Persons Bulletin, on June 17th, 2022, Vancouver Police Department conducted a welfare check at Breedson's home based on concerns for welfare voiced by members of the community. Officers, however, could not find Breedson, who also used the name Braxton. Breedson also was born in Hawaii and has ties to Arizona, Washington, and the Turks. The 8-year-old reportedly lived with his grandparents. Vancouver police said January detectives have attempted to contact multiple family members to determine if Breedson is with family or is he truly missing. The relatives, however, have not provided investigators information related to the whereabouts of Breedson, and he had not been located. His grandparents, who are his guardians, have been charged with custodial interference. So healthy boy, grandparents had him and stole him. Youth pastor. This is brought up today because it enrages me a little bit when I hear about Ronnie Lawson in the Summer Wells case, right? Because we know that Summer Wells is truly missing and has not been found. During those investigations, we made multiple tours out to Rogersville, Tennessee. At the time, she was the youngest case that I had covered at that time. Now I have a newer case that I have covered that's much younger. It was put in Simon, but getting back to her. But during the research that we were doing, we were looking for people that, had, that were, RSOs that had problems with children, that were arrested for those things. And that Guffrey guy, or whatever his name was, around the corner, we saw his father. We have video of his father, coming up to us when we were on the Bullhorn out there on Ben Hill Road. And his son had photos, not good photos, but again, just photos of children. And he's doing 8 years in jail. Meanwhile, Ronnie Lawson's son was diddling with the kids at his church, in a place of authority. His son was Ronnie Lawson's son. Meanwhile, we have turned over every stone imaginable for Ronnie Lawson and otherwise, and not one time did his son ever come up. Did we ever know his charges existed? And even though countless public records requests, those were never released to us. And I find it awfully funny that he can diddle with kids, actually physically doing it, versus a photograph, a video, being in concert with, right? And gets a slap on the wrist, 1 year in jail, and that was commuted and he walked out of jail, Ronnie Lawson's son. Meanwhile, other communities take this kind of stuff much more seriously. Such as this one, youth pastor. And listen to this. He didn't even fiddle with the kids. He didn't even fiddle with them. And he gets 60 years. Youth pastor sentenced to 60 years in prison for recording children bathing at church. Now, granted, that is a bad thing to do, and God knows what he was doing with the videos after the fact. But he wasn't diddling with the kids. He wasn't touching them. Ronnie Lawson's son should be in prison. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is corrupt as hell. But you know what? We were out there. We told people, quit voting Ronnie Lawson as your sheriff. Just knock it off. You need somebody that's a law and order sheriff. Ronnie Lawson is a disgrace. His family is a disgrace. Let's be honest. One missing child that was abducted was found on his family's property in a shed. Now we've got his son going to jail for diddling with kids. Meanwhile, this pastor records. Now, I do not. This is disgusting and despicable. Believe me. I believe that. What he did was wrong, but it didn't rise to the level of what Ronnie Lawson's son did. And that's the point I'm trying to make. And this man got 60 years in prison. 60 years in prison. That's huge. That's not a slap on the wrist. That's saying we want to protect our children at all costs. A lot on the True Crime Daily today. That's where I'm pulling a lot of this information from today. New Jersey woman sentenced to life for killing toddler son, dismembering, and burning his remains. Yes. How did we not hear about that? Why are we, the public, not hearing about stuff like this? Not one person that I can recall covered this case on YouTube. This is disgusting. I mean, I'm sure they were covered, but not at where it should be. I agree, C12. I just saw C12's comment. Absolutely, 100% believe that. It is infuriating how people with money and power get slaps on the wrist. I'm curious about, actually, I'm not really curious about. I would be dumbfounded if Alec Murdaugh is found not guilty after everything we've heard. Me as a juror on that case, I think that the prosecution has done a darn good job at what they're doing. And I'm very pleased with that work. What time is it? Okay, I got to watch the time today because I am on a very tight schedule because I've got something going on this morning, and I have something going on this afternoon. So I'm literally going to be running. And I have decided, like, I love the cut, I love the hair, but I have decided that the next time I go to the hairdresser, I think I'm gonna jazz it up a little bit. I wasn't always blonde, not this blonde. I always had dark hair. I usually did a half highlight, so I'd have dark hair back here, just my normal natural color back here, and then all this would be highlighted. And I think I'm ready to go back to that. And I really am. I think I'm ready to go back to my highlights. I think I'm ready to ditch the platinum blonde. I've been a platinum blonde longer than I've been any other color, because before I came to YouTube, I changed my hair color like I changed my underwear. So I did. I have to be honest with you. I've been a redhead. I've been a blonde. I've been a brunette. I've been a brown head. I've been a blackhead. It doesn't really. Oh, Lord. Turtle. So I think I'm going to probably do something different. I already told the hairdresser, because she was even trying to talk me into doing something different. I'm like, nah, I'm not ready yet. And so I started thinking about it last night and this morning. And I'm thinking, maybe I am. It wouldn't hurt. I can always go back to blonde if I don't like it. I've been blonde so long that I don't know if I'll like the change, but I'm ready for a change. If that makes any difference, right? I'm ready for change. I'm ready to get out of the blonde. So we'll see what I've got up my sleeve after I return from DC. But I have a funny feeling I may change it up. A little bit. Dolly has made it down to Georgia, said he's ready to go to court and get this over. Oh, well, if he's down there, is he on live now? Is he on live now? Hold on a second. Well, double do. I hope he is, because I'll call into his. He's not. Oh, that sucks. Well, let's call in before we get to this next story. Let's see if we can get him on the phone. Maybe he'll answer. Maybe we can get a real good idea about how he's feeling, if he's feeling confident this morning, what he thinks is going on. Let's see. We'll see. Let me not put him on a hot mic right away. Well, he might be up, but he's not answering the phone. So I wanted to get his comments today. He's got court in Georgia with that nasty woman. Nasty. Miss Nasty, right? Miss Nasty. Miss Disgusting. Miss Sticky Fingers. Miss Too Big for Her Own Britches. Miss Don't Want to Step on Bullhorn Betty's shit. I would have loved to have seen her here in Florida, because we have so many laws that protect people that are protecting themselves. So we have a stand your ground law. We have a whole bunch of laws. She pulls that crap here. She tries to threaten me here. I have every right to handle my business. If she has fight words, if she makes me feel for my safety, there's a lot that can be done. Lots that can be done lawfully. Lawfully. New Jersey woman is sentenced for killing her toddler son. We just read the headlines of that. This is a sad case. This is from 2019. Yes, that's a good idea. Say prayers for Dolly. I don't think anything's going to happen today. Usually everything just gets dismissed, or not dismissed, but prolonged, like pushed. They've got a lazy justice system in Chatham County, so I'm not too confident in them. I mean, well, the worst part about it is Dolly will probably get more time if he's found guilty than Leilani will for murdering her son, because that's the way they do their justice in their county. You get arrested for walking down the street, but kill a kid and throw it in the garbage can, you're free as a bird. You're free as a bird, and not a jailbird. A bird, a turtle bird. A turtle bird like a jailbird, except freer. Oh, Lord. All right, I need to stop. Good morning, everyone. We have 500 people in the chat this morning. Go out there and give this a thumbs up. We're going over a lot of different cases this morning, and I'm just going through the stuff we don't know about, and then we're going to be talking about some of the cases that we are familiar with. Here's one we're not familiar with, and I keep scratching my head and saying, how in the world can we not be familiar with a case like this? Like this. And I don't recall hearing anything about it. Now, granted, I've only been on YouTube for a year, but you would think something like this would make headlines all over the country. And they didn't. They didn't. This is in my state, New Jersey. Yeah. A judge recently sentenced a 28-year-old mother to life behind bars after she was convicted of killing her toddler son and dismembering his body. Life? I am sick and tired of paying for people like this. You take a life, you give a life. That's how it should work. You know why I don't murder people? Because I'm not willing to give up my life for it. There is only a few circumstances in this world that would make me hurt somebody to that point, to death. And that's because they've injured, hurt, or killed my family or somebody very close to me. That is the only. It's going to be completely 100% out of love. It's not going to be because I hate somebody so much that I'm willing to spend the rest of my life in jail. It's that you had to do something really, really bad. Really, really bad. And I would be willing to give my life for it. Because that is what I would expect. I take a life, I give a life. Why are we taking care of this woman? She not only killed her own child, her own toddler, but she went through the gruesome act that she did. That's not a life imprisonment type of crime. That's a you give your life type of crime. Capital crime. Death penalty. On February 8th, 2019, at approximately 6:36 p.m., Nakira Griner told Bridgeton police that her 23-month-old son, Daniel, I can't even pronounce the last name, had been abducted. Sounds similar to Leilani's story. So multiple law enforcement agencies launched a search in the title. The next day, February 9th, police said the child's remains were found in a yard on Woodland Drive. The child's body had been dismembered and burned. Upon further investigation, Griner was reportedly arrested and charged in her son's death. According to the criminal complaint obtained by KYW, Griner told investigators she hit her child because he would not eat nor listen to her. She also reportedly said that the child fell down the stairs, but she didn't seek help. So you beat your child because he's 23 months old and doesn't listen. I don't know how many 23 months old children do listen. But, I mean, hell, I didn't even listen to my parents until I was 35. If they wanted me to do something, they would tell me to do something opposite. If they told me to do something opposite, they might get what they really wanted done. That was my family. I don't know about your family. I wasn't one of them. I did the exact opposite of exactly what my parents told me not to do. Okay? I didn't get, even in my 20s, I was a hot mess in my 20s. I didn't start listening to mommy and daddy until I was well in my 30s. So 23 months, honey, you got a long way to go before that child ever listened to you. I'm serious. You want the room clean? My mom would have to say, go messy up your room. I'm not going to mess up my room. Go clean your room. I'm not going to clean my room. See how that works? After the son's remains were found, the Cumberland County prosecutor said an autopsy revealed he died by blunt force trauma. And I have a funny feeling that's what we're going to find in Quentin Simon's case as well. So again, just pushing through all this stuff. Nevada brothel worker arrested in Moonlight Bunny Ranch shooting. I picked this story because of the title. I have to be honest with you. The brothel worker was arrested in the Moonlight Bunny Ranch shooting. That's a mouthful. You know what I say to cure this problem? Keep them legs wet. Go clean your room. I'm not cleaning my room. I haven't cleaned my room in 3 years. No, I'm just joking. Actually, just got I did the comforter. I need to pull the sheets and wash my sheets. So this is in Carson City, Nevada. A 28-year-old brothel worker was arrested after a dispute between two co-workers escalated into a shooting and a standoff with multiple law enforcement agencies at the famous Moonlight Bunny Ranch. Hugh Hefner, your bunnies are on a loose. You need to come get your pin and grab your bunnies and take them back. I'm thinking of what is the rabbit? What is his name? Bugs Bunny. I'm seeing Bugs Bunny with his gun in his hand. And Elmer Fudd. Oh, Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd is at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. So deputies reportedly heard more gunshots upon arrival. They evacuated the brothel. During the investigation, the sheriff's office learned a Bunny Ranch employee, Savannah Henderson, also known as Tierra T, was responsible for firing the gun. Henderson allegedly fled to a room inside the business. The crisis negotiation team. All you needed to do was call Hugh Hefner. Why are you spending taxpayer money? You know, Hugh Hefner knows how to wrangle the bunnies in. I'm sorry. All you needed to do was pick up the phone and call Hugh Hefner. Hugh, we got your girl. She's holding a gun. Can you come get your bunny? You need to take her back. Oh, she's a rejected bunny. Oh, is that why she's at Moonlight? Oh. Well, it says the Bunny Ranch. I think you need to... Oh, Lord. I don't think anybody was killed. I think the bunny let Elmer Fudd live. But it was a what is it? I need to stop. I'm not even being funny this morning. It was what do they call it? A fight at the brothel. I wonder if it was one of those kinky, like, pillow fights, but with guns. Was it a cute bunny fight or was it a bad bunny fight? Because some of those bunnies, they get, right? Oh, snap. It's my county, Cumberland. I'm 20 minutes away from Bridgeton. Well, you've got a brothel in your community, and it's got weaponized bunnies. So I don't know what you want to do. Oh, he'll be raised from the grave. Besides, though, that's just to happen. I'm crying over here. We need to stop because my makeup. I got to keep my makeup on because I got things to do today. I got things to do. Quit making me cry over here. I cannot believe that. So they also had an update on the 20th from Lyon County Sheriff's Office. But she was booked into jail and her bond was set for $86,000. I don't know if that she's got bond money or if she's out. But I think she lost her job at the Bunny Ranch. Oh, good Lord. Here's one all the way from Alaska. If you guys are watching me from Alaska, this is one right here. This is, I didn't even know there was $9 million in Alaska. I didn't know somebody could afford money. I mean, it sounds kind of stupid to say, but who the hell has that kind of money and wants to live in a place that stays lit 6 months out of the year and freezes you to your ever-loving core? I have no idea. I thought that was for, like, mountain men and people that wanted to, live off the land. That's what I consider Alaska. They have some of the biggest freaking fish that are bigger than me in their waters, but I digress. Here we have an Alaska woman pleads guilty to killing friend in a catfishing scheme involving $9 million. Be careful who you are friends with when you have money. Headstones and headlines. Nice to see you. In Anchorage, Alaska, 22-year-old woman pleads guilty last week to fatally shooting her friend and dumping her body as part of her involvement in an elaborate catfishing scheme based in Indiana. On February 15th, the Alaska Department of Law announced Denali Bremer entered the first-degree murder plea for killing 19-year-old Cynthia Hoffman June 2nd, 2019. As part of her plea deal, prosecutors dropped charges of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation of first-degree murder, tampering with physical evidence, and 2 counts of second-degree murder. She faced 30 years in prison, up to a maximum sentence of 99. According to the criminal complaint, Bremer Hoffman and a 16-year-old named Caden McIntosh were driving toward Anchorage after smoking marijuana and decided to stop at the Thunder Bridge Falls. They reportedly agreed to duct tape each other and take photographs, and tied up Hoffman's wrist and hands and wrists. They covered her mouth with duct tape, then removed them. Hoffman said she would call the police, but McIntosh allegedly shot her in the back of the head before she could. McIntosh then allegedly pushed Hoffman's body into Thunderbird Falls. Who needs enemies? Yeah, friends like that, right? Who needs enemies? No surprise to anybody that Bryan Kohberger has an OCD eating disorder. It's not just his eating that he has OCD about. We talked to the neighbor that lived below him in the Washington Pullman campus housing. She was Oriental. I don't know what her ethnicity, whether she's Asian, Philippine, other Asian type of makeup. I don't know. I don't know what Vietnamese. I don't know. I just know that she is Oriental. She's, of Asian descent. And she talked to us. She had you could understand her, but it was broken English, and she was very soft spoken. And she did talk at length about Bryan Kohberger's habits. One of the things is that since he's moved in there, it's been very difficult for her and her husband that are raising young children, because he lives in the apartment right above them, and he would have strange habits, such as vacuuming at weird hours of the morning, her hearing running water, like he would run water like crazy in his apartment in odd hours. I wonder what that water was all about. Why in the world was he running that? I don't know. So I just thought this was interesting, but no surprise. It's like they're not even getting creative. They're just finding taglines to discuss to keep this in the spotlight, while the defense and prosecution and the judge wants it to get out of the limelight, right? It's not happening. It's not going to happen. So here we have the suspect in the stabbing death of the university students worried his family with his bizarre eating habits, according to relatives. We know this. This is nothing new, but this is a new article. Speaking exclusively to the Post Friday afternoon, a former aunt of Bryan Kohberger said his dietary restrictions were very, very weird. It was above and beyond being vegan, said the aunt, who declined to be identified, but said she previously married into the family. His aunt and uncle had to buy new pots and pans. We knew about this. This article here, this is from December 22. I wonder why this popped up into my thing. But this is his weird eating habits is no different. And here's the outside of his community right there. And there's that shack that I was talking about that I walked up to see if we could get inside. And right here are those arm beams that go in and out. Now, next to that was a house, and we actually talked to the people at that house, and I could literally see through their backyard, and I could have gotten around those gates if I could have, but I couldn't, so I didn't. But that is Brian Koberg. I'm going to say that whole thing sounded very familiar, but it popped up in my feed this morning, so I wonder what that was all about. If you guys have been paying attention to the Alex Murdaugh trial, you guys know that James Griffin, the attorney, one of the attorneys for Alex Murdaugh, was reprimanded by the judge publicly in open court yesterday. And it was or maybe it was the day before yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was the day before yesterday. I can't remember. I think it was day 21 of the hearing. Let me see. I can pull it up. Let's just see if we can pull it up. Hold on a second. I think it was the beginning part. I want you guys to hear this. I think it was the 21st. Because somebody day before. Okay, so it was this one. All right, let me pause this because you're not going to be able to hear it. Okay, right there. Let me pull this down. Let me stop this screen, and then we'll put up the screen that allows the audio to be present. You got to hear this, and then we'll get to the, what's my time? All right, we're doing good on time. We're doing good on time, so. Nice to have you in.
Please be seated.
Good morning. I have two issues. I don't know if you all have something. First, we have a juror who is not feeling well and who is at a doctor's appointment. Juror number 441. That juror is not here.
I get past the juror stuff.
We'll need to replace that juror of another juror. Can you have the juror coordinate?
Last, chose to.
Objection to replacing it.
Your Honor, that's fine with proceeding if that's the court's desire to proceed on. Certainly, I don't have any objection either.
Proceeding as opposed to what?
I mean, if she's at the doctor's appointment, I don't know if that was something that would.
We're going to tell the jury day 21, and we'd like to not be doing day 31. And if this delays it, we sit here and wait to find out what her health condition is. It might go on for a while.
Statement right quick. We think the defense will be rested and the next schedule. Now, just don't want to.
Okay.
Of course, that's all predicated on.
Sorry, guys. I didn't realize what it was, but it's got to be coming up after this.
Sheriff, did you receive a call from a juror or some communication from them? So we now have, we'll need to select by lot the name who it is. All right, juror number 530 will become part of the regular panel. Secondly, I've been receiving over the past 2 to 3 days emails concerning a social media post by Mr. Griffin commenting upon witnesses' testimony and quality of the investigation by the state. And it appeared on my Twitter feed this morning. Mr. Griffin, is this part of your defense strategy or?
Your Honor, all I did was retweet an article that was published in the Washington Post. I didn't put any comment.
Now, I want you to listen. Now, this is when a judge reprimands you in public. You're about to watch it. He didn't sanction him, but he definitely reprimanded the crap out of him. Listen.
I didn't make any statement. I just retweeted an article that's in the newspaper. That's all I did.
We had an NBA player who retweeted an article, professional basketball player who retweeted an article that resulted in him being suspended from the NBA for about 10 days, and
that's harsh.
It cost him about $10 million in salary. So retweeting is the same as, to some, as if your tweet. It appeared, I didn't know that, well, I mean, I'm not a Twitter friend of yours, but it just appeared on my, under Twitter. First thing up this morning was you. We had the lawyer who had a similar name to, a person with a similar name to our lawyer witness, and it was someone else by the same name. In your interest, your instance, it's your name and your picture. So
retweet the article, no question about it.
Yeah, well, I've been reviewing Rule 3.6 regarding that, and whereas the rule does not specifically state that that lawyers are prohibited from criticizing witnesses during the course of the trial or commenting on a case that they're actively participating in. I think it goes against the spirit of the law, of the rule, and it doesn't pass the field test.
And I always talk about the spirit of the law. Remember, if you guys hear me, I address that all, a lot, is it doesn't go into the spirit of the law. And he's addressing that very same thing because it doesn't. They're precluded from, discussing the case when they're an active participant according to the court rules, the rules of civil procedure, the rules of criminal procedure, all prohibit this. Not necessarily the civil, but definitely in the criminal aspect of this. And not only that, but this was an article that criticized the expert witnesses, which is frowned upon in courts. And so people want to know, what in the world did he do that was so bad that he gets this lashing from the judge? And so I thought before I brought up this next one that I would give you guys a little bit of background as to why we're bringing it up, because here it is. Here is the tweet, the infamous tweet from Jim Griffin, Lawyer Griffin, at Lawyer Griffin. Alex Murdaugh trial reveals sloppy investigation. That looks like he typed that. He said he just retweeted it with no comment, but that title up there didn't appear to go with the article. When I retweet an article, the only thing that would be retweeted would be just this right here. This would be the only thing that would be retweeted. not this up here. That was written in. So he actually, in all fairness, wasn't very honest with the judge. So what is in here that's so bad? And it's the oh, and it won't let me in without signing in. And I'm not signing in. But it's a Washington Post article that basically is defaming the expert witnesses. That guy right there, the sled agent that was in the car. This is the sled agent. This guy right here was the one in the video. Let me see if I can pull that video up. Video file. Go to the desktop. I'm pretty sure it is on the desktop. Here it is. Open this. That guy right there. This guy right here. Right there with the glasses on. That's him. That's over here in this photo. It's the guy in the driver's seat sitting right next to Alex Murdaugh. Why is it not pausing? So he's the guy that's sitting in that olive colored shirt right next to Alex Murdaugh. And they are defaming him, saying, oh, they did sloppy investigative work. They're being the arm of the Murdaugh family, the Washington Post is. So he got reprimanded by the judge, basically said, yeah, I understand it's just a retweet, but other people have been suspended for stuff like this. I thought he was going to go for sanctions. I didn't think he was going to throw him off the case. That would cause a major procedural issues and things like that I'm sure no judge wanted to deal with. But he could have very well sanctioned him and chose not to sanction the attorney for Alex Murdaugh. But he gave him a stern warning. And by the end of it, Alex Murdaugh or James Griffin said, I won't retweet or even comment on Twitter anymore. Like, he does not want to have any conversation related to that. And so Alex Murdaugh could take the stand in his own defense. This was an important matter because people have been asking, is he going to take the stand? Yesterday, actually probably the day before yesterday, again, they were discussing some, maybe it was yesterday morning. I think it was yesterday morning. Let's look that one up. I believe that they were discussing Alex Murdaugh and whether or not he would be taking the stand. And he was almost working to limit the questioning. And it's like when you get on the stand, because when you get on the stand in your own defense, you're waiving your right to plead the fifth. The plea the fifth, you cannot plead the fifth when you get up on the stand to defend yourself. That means you are fair game. Anything you say can be cross-examined. And that's what is so critical and why so many people choose not to go on that stand, because one, you're not forced to testify for yourself. You can if you choose to, but when you choose to, you are fair game. So in this, let's go back here. I started this. Okay, I think it's this right here. Okay, back it up just 5 seconds. I got to pull it up a different way so you guys can hear it. But I want you guys to hear what was said in court yesterday related to whether or not he will be testifying in his own defense, and hear what the judge has to say.
From being able to question, we're at examination.
Too far. This is from yesterday.
Good morning. Ready for the jury?
Mr. Griffin has a matter he wishes to address with the court.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor. We are discussing with Mr. Murdaugh his right to testify or not testify. And one of the issues that has come up is the scope of cross-examination that the state would be permitted to go into should he testify. And the rule, the basic rule is when the defendant takes a stand, he waives his Fifth Amendment privilege as to matters to which he testifies on direct and relevant matters subject to cross-examination. Your Honor has let in, over our objection, evidence under 404B of financial misconduct.
So what he's talking about, 404B and 403, you're going to hear these things. So 404B rule basically means you can bring in other evidence if it goes to certain aspects such as motive and schemes and just, you know, things of that nature. Their objection was based on a 403 objection, which basically means that the probative value does not outweigh the prejudice that it causes their client. And so they have been, they have done 403 objections on the blue jacket. They did 403 objections on the financial crimes, which the state believes is the motive to these murders and had every right to explore it. However, the issue here is Alec Murdaugh still has an open case for the financial crimes. And when he removes the veil of the Fifth Amendment privilege, he may be required to answer or admit to these financial crimes that he has not yet had his due process on. So he's in a very tricky situation where even if he didn't commit these murders, but did commit the financial crimes, he may be taking the defense, but he may be admitting to those financial crimes, which can be used against him in the court of law when he goes to court for his financial crimes. So he's in a very a tight situation here, especially if he really does want to get on the stand. And I think this was trial strategy in some parts for the public, because even though the jury is not hearing these arguments, we as the public are. And they're most likely, I don't know if Alec will make it to the stand or not because of the reasons I've asked, but these trying to limit what the state is allowed to ask a defendant that's there to represent himself or testify on his own behalf, you can't do that. And so I'll let it keep playing.
And what we're asking is for an order excluding the state from being able to question Mr. Murdaugh on cross-examination matters related to the financial crimes that's been put before the court under Rule 404B if we don't testify about those on direct examination. We need a ruling from the court at some point in time today before tomorrow. We're not putting them up today, but we're asking that we be able to advise him of what the state will be permitted to go into on cross-examination should he choose to testify. Adequately advise him and for him to adequately waive his right and his Fifth Amendment privilege and testify or not. And that's what we're asking.
Would you like me to review with him at this time his right to testify or not testify?
Not at this point in time, Your Honor. We have to, we're trying to get a understanding from the court as to the parameters of the waiver of the privilege. Is he
fair game, buddy.
If he testifies about the murders, is he then subject to cross-examination about the financial crimes?
Of course, it's fair game.
That's what we're asking.
All right. Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. First of all, obviously the general rule is that cross is generally wide open, and that goes for a defendant who testifies. Your Honor, Rule 611B on the scope of cross-examination expressly says that a witness may be cross-examined on any matter relevant to any issue in the case. And of course, Your Honor has ruled through 404 and 403 the financial matters independently relevant. But the rule goes on to further say, including credibility. So even if that had not happened, these matters which go right to the heart of the credibility and frankly, the extensive dishonesty of this defendant would be relevant if he took the stand anyway, regardless of the 404. So independently under that rule, the credibility aspect, it would be admissible under Rule 611B. But again, Your Honor has ruled these matters as relevant in the case, and so that clearly within the scope of cross. Your Honor, citing State v. Gilbert and Gleaton, 273 SC 690, they said right there, as I think the defense recognized, when the accused takes a stand on his own behalf, he waives his privilege against compulsory self-incrimination and must answer all proper questions. Your Honor, Taylor v. State, which I believe may have been overruled on other grounds, but 258 SC 369, when the appellant elected to testify, he waived his right against self-incrimination and became subject to cross-examination like any other witness. And then finally, citing the U.S. Supreme Court, Brown v. U.S. 356 U.S. 148, it says, it's talking about a defendant in a criminal case. It says if he takes the stand and testifies in his own defense, his credibility may be impeached and his testimony assailed like any other witness. And the breadth of his waiver is determined by the scope of relevant cross-examination. He has no right to set forth to the jury all the facts which tend in his favor without lying himself open to a cross-examination on those facts. Those are the general and well-established rules, Your Honor, and they're particularly relevant in this case. And so we believe that those financial matters would be well within the scope of this particular matter and authorized by the rules in the case law.
Mr. Griffin.
Yeah, just briefly, Your Honor, with regard to credibility, I mean, the rules are pretty strict as to what evidence of criminal conduct can be used to impeach a witness's credibility, and there are limited to convictions, and that's Rule 609. Your Honor has let the financial evidence in under theory of motive, and you've done a 403 weighing test. And Your Honor, I think when you get to cross-examination of a defendant, I think Your Honor has discretion under Rule 403 to prohibit the state from further inquiry in this case on the financial evidence, which they contend is a motivating factor for the crimes. And that's and so the Brown v. U.S. and I don't disagree that that's the black letter law, but the question is, what's the scope of cross-examination? And here he's charged with murder. He's not charged with financial crimes. He's charged with murder. And we're asking the court to limit the waiver of his Fifth Amendment privilege to the murder charges.
Yes, sir.
Again, moving back to 607, of course, the credibility of the witness may be attacked by any party. 608B allows examination, cross-examination of a witness concerning their aspects of truthfulness and untruthfulness, which this clearly goes to, as well as 608C, which talks about bias, prejudice, and any motive to misrepresent. And again, we're not just talking about purely dishonesty and credibility, which I think is alone more than enough. We're also talking about examination on issues that are specifically relevant to this particular case based on the 404 ruling.
Rule 607, Rule 608, particularly the portion of 608, see evidence of bias, prejudice, or any motive to misrepresent may be shown to impeach the witness, either by examination of the witness or by evidence otherwise deduced. Rule 611 and 609 also addresses the issue. I am not going to issue an order in advance limiting the scope of cross-examination. Any objectionable matter must be addressed as the evidence is presented and not based on any advance ruling by the court.
Your Honor, the request for the ruling is not an evidentiary ruling. It's the scope of his privilege. And so would he be permitted to assert the Fifth, for example, if they're permitted to ask questions such as they intend to on cross? And that's—
I can't give you any advisory opinions about the evidence and the scope of cross-examination, the scope of his privilege. I'm willing to review with him the scope of his privilege against self-incrimination, if that's what you're referring to.
We will certainly need to have that colloquy at some point at the end of the day, perhaps. But
for the court to issue some blanket order limiting the scope of cross-examination, that's unheard of to me.
Again, Your Honor, I'm not, the question is the scope of the waiver of his privilege when he gets on that witness stand. That's what we're asking for, not an evidentiary rule.
Mr. Waters has some cases there that I assume he'd like for me to look at, and if you do, I'd be happy to look at what you have as well.
So they basically told them that he'll deal with it on a case-by-case basis, but he's not giving a blanket instruction to the state about what they can question him on cross-examination. Should he take the stand in his own defense, again, waiving his right to plead the fifth in that particular matter. So we'll be watching today to see if he does take the stand. Like James Griffin said, they weren't planning on putting him on the stand yesterday. But again, it seems like they are pondering whether Alec Murdaugh will be going on the stand or not. So just a little update for the people that aren't watching the trial. There you go for Alec Murdaugh. Cody Bigsby. This is the little boy that disappeared from Virginia and still has not been found. His father is still in jail on multiple counts of child negligence and charges of that nature. So I just wanted to give you guys an update. It's a question that still haunts many people in Hampton Roads. Where is 4-year-old Cody Bigsby? Hampton police started looking for him 1 year ago on January 31st, 2022, after his father, Corey, reported him missing. Crews from other cities stepped in to help for weeks. Hampton Police Division and other agencies set up command centers and parking lots from the Buckrow Point Apartments in Hampton, where Cody lived. They used drivers, drones, dogs, volunteer teams to search around his home. I also found out there was another home that was purchased, and also with the Athena Brownfield case, it makes us wonder, is there another home that he may have disposed of him at where he was living previously or knew of previously? I'm interested in finding out about that. But so far, we haven't heard anything from law enforcement related to that. There are a number of really emotional cases that I know I will carry with me until I'm not on the planet anymore. This is one of them. Hampton Police Chief Mark Talbot says, emotionally intense, very sad. For the first time, 13 News now conducted a one-on-one interview with Hampton Police Chief. He said the case is still active. We're still looking through evidence, making sure we have followed up on everything that needs to be followed up on, Talbot said, making sure we have understood the technology that we've uncovered throughout the investigation. Not much in terms of new tips or uncovering new evidence, but still working the case with the hopes of solving the mystery. He said investigators have chased many leads over the past year, but those leads haven't panned out. What we can share is that the number of things have come up since Cody Bigsby was first reported missing that we haven't been able to make public. A number of things that have come up that had us excited about the possibility of figuring out what happened. And none of those things have panned out so far. So it tends to happen unexpectedly, as we got a call a week or so ago and got something that came up in the community, which is an indication that it is still an active case. People are interested in it. Every once in a while, we are out there looking at something. So it does sound like this is starting to stale out. This is starting to become a cold case. They're still holding on to glimmers of hope to find out what happened, but still so far, nothing. I've struggled with the question for a long time. He says, I don't think it is responsible at this point to believe that Cody is alive. So they're already stating right now that they believe Cody Bigsby is no longer with us. This is now went from a missing persons case into a murder investigation. So they're just saying that, I don't think it's reasonable. He's 4 years old. He obviously wouldn't be able to care for himself. No indication that he was taken. It's not reasonable to believe he's alive at this point. So sad news coming out about Cody Bigsby. We now believe that he has been killed either intentionally or unintentionally by his father, which was the primary caregiver, and why police still have his father in custody. And we are, we have gotten away from the Dylan Round case. Dylan Round was a 19-year-old boy that disappeared in a desolate area of Utah, has never been seen or heard from again. Police kind of botched the investigation early on. And so now, just doing some updates on cases that we haven't touched in a while. Here is one of them. I didn't read through the entire article here, but I did peruse through it. And it is an article where Dylan's mom is talking to a reporter and basically states that they believe progress is happening in their son's case, that they're very optimistic about, possibly solving this case. So we are getting closer in the Dylan Rounds case. When the parents start saying, yeah, we're making progress, the chances are, yeah, they're making progress. So very interested in that information, and we'll be following up with that with you guys in the foreseeable future. But Mother Dennis Cooley said, while the progression on the case is not at the speed they want it to be, there is progression. And they are expecting major developments in this case soon. Major developments in the Dylan Rounds case very, very soon. And then there's just another article, Dylan Rounds parents optimistic that there will be a break in son's case soon. So those are just the updates on Dylan Rounds. There is stuff going on. We kind of stepped away from his case a little bit, and they are still making progress. It's not the progress and at the speed that the community, the United States, or even the parents would like, but it's progress, not for perfection. And we'll take progress in this case because this poor boy is most likely dead and nobody knows where he's at or who is responsible for the crime. And one of the cases that Dolly Vision and I worked on was the Michael Monkey Vaughn case. And it appears that DNA is being tested in this case. And I thought this was very interesting because we have, we did pony up some money to go out there, place a banner up that our truly Miss Robin contributed in paying for this little boy. And it was put up. And when Olivia and I went to Idaho, we flew into Boise, and I had an opportunity to go by Michael's house and drop off a poinsettia and a, we're thinking of you card to them. And this was just after Sarah Wandra was brought into the news. None of us were the wiser about them. We kind of knew behind the scenes from the information that I was provided on back channels that it was somebody in the community, and it was most likely somebody on that side of the community that was responsible, that was not allowing searches of their home. It was just becoming apparent that something else was going on. They were not cooperating, and I believe it was the Wandra property. Fruitland police say they covered several pieces of evidence and are testing for DNA evidence. Police say they have sent the evidence to a private DNA lab and results could take some time. In November, investigators dug up the backyard of a home in Fruitland and arrested Sarah Wandra for failure to report a death of Michael Vaughn. After searching the backyard and the home, police have found no human remains, but believe Michael was possibly killed, buried, and later relocated. And I believe that was true because we saw a post from Stacy Wandra, the male half, that talked about his walk with Christ and how he feels so free and everything like that. And I believe it was that at that point when they moved the body, and that was in the end of September of 2021. And they also were reported to have made a trip to Texas for an animal at that time. So I believe that he was moved. I believe that they have on that trip to Texas that both Stacy as well as Sarah disposed of him somewhere else. I truly do believe that statement. So things are moving along in Michael Monkey Vaughn's case. We're hopeful that this DNA evidence directly links the Wandras to Michael Monkey Vaughn. Michael's family deserves peace. They deserve closure. They deserve to know what happened to their son. It'll never bring him back, but at least it'll provide them answers. That family went under some horrible, horrible abuse from social media, from a lot of different creators that believed that they were guilty, that at least Tyler, Michael's father. The one thing that was lacking in this case that kind of, and I didn't talk about it until after I met with Brandy. And the reason why is because it was hard for me to grasp, because I say there's three major things that need to take place for something like this, where a parent is involved in the death. Now, granted, accidents do happen, but normal parents call law enforcement and get medical attention and things of that nature and deal with it the responsible way. But there are three major factors that really help, help in cases like this, where parents become even more despicable. And it's usually domestic violence, drugs, and alcohol. It's usually one or a multiple of them. Sometimes all three of them exist. The majority of the time, all three exist in these households. This was what was lacking in this particular case. We could not find any violence in the home that Michael lived in. There wasn't drug addiction in the home where Michael lived. There wasn't alcohol addiction in the home where Michael lived. It was a good, wholesome family and a good, wholesome neighborhood. And those things were lacking in this case and made it hard. We always look at all avenues, including the parents. And we did that here. We even brought somebody that had followed the case a lot more. There was strange behavior. Hellcat's in here right now. She can express there was strange behavior, especially from Tyler. But I also gave an example of Stephanie Shenefield. She was the bartender here in Manatee County that disappeared, that Chronicles of Olivia and JLR and myself went out to investigate and search for her. And when we met with her roommate, the roommate was fine. When we first started talking to him, he was really fine. And as he realized that, people are going to start looking at him as a possible suspect, he got visibly nervous and wanted to get the girls to stop talking to media, and just made some bizarre, he was doing some bizarre stuff. And it really had red flags on it, but it wasn't. What it was his nerves. And so I tell that story because, occasionally people look or act weird because of their nerves. And those nerves for Tyler were the fact that he felt responsible for his son. He's the father. He's the one that takes care of his kid. His kid disappeared under his watch. And, everybody wanted answers that he didn't have. And so I think that really is what it was, as opposed to them being guilty of the crime. I think he was just feeling inadequate. He was feeling remorseful. He was having these weird red flag type of things because he was fighting with himself and trying to come to the understanding of it. So I'm glad we kept an open mind with Brandy. I'm really glad that we had an opportunity to speak with her. I'm glad we had an opportunity, if nothing more, to refresh the flyers around the community, to put up that banner around the community, to do work that needed to be done, that the family had been doing for far too long, all by themselves. It was nice to be able to at least provide some type of help in the matter. So at least we're moving forward in the right direction. This case I thought was turning cold. I didn't think it was going to be solved. And then the Wandra name came up, and I had an opportunity to go out in front of their house, and that's exactly what I did. And I believe something much far worse may have happened because of the neighbors and the people that they hang around. So, I don't know. The Wells. This is kind of a weird, bizarre post on the Wells website for Don Wells. It's about the transition, the Wells. It's a statement from what I perceive to be that knucklehead. Why can't I think of his name? The one with the glasses that built the website. Excuse me, him. I'm waiting for somebody to put the name up because I forgot it. Tim, thank you, Tim. And so he's just basically saying that the Wells have stopped all social media, that everyone who's asked about the court hearing that occurred, my marketing media answer is short and clear. Nothing newsworthy happened. There's no hidden message there. One day it's winter, the next day it's spring. Without calendar, no one would take notice of any changes on Earth. Or as we say, nothing newsworthy happened. But those who love spring, they savor the time of flowers and resurrection and beginning to anticipate summer. There's no new clues in the statements. It's simple an expression that there is no money for anyone to make off hearing by viewing, subscribing, advertise. Thus, nothing newsworthy. Don's decision was before the hearing happened. No, it wasn't. It was after the judge told him you will be in contempt of court if you go back on YouTube again. And then what does he do? Turns around and gets caught back on YouTube again. Delphi. Motion reveals prosecutors' reasoning for sealing court documents in the Delphi murder case. Carroll County, we now have additional insight for the reason Carroll County's prosecutor asked the judge to seal the records in the Delphi case. To seal records, not all of them, just to seal some. Among other things, Carroll County prosecutor Nick McLeland argued that the release of the probable cause affidavit and other court documents related to Richard Allen would create a serious and imminent danger to the public's interest. Give me a break. What danger? Just like the crap, this stuff is being passed around, and they're using these strategies. They must have went to a conference and all these attorneys and state prosecutors went to this thing and said, oh, let's use this. Let's say this. They have to do it if it's this. No, you guys are violating the laws. I don't want to hear that it is an imminent danger to public interest. Imminent danger to the public's interest. I want that explained. Does it rise to the legal muster that it needs to? Possibly damaging an ongoing murder investigation. Allen is charged with 2 counts of murder in the death of Abby Williams and Libby German in February 2017. State police announced his arrest in October 2022, more than 5 years after their death. The probable cause affidavit was kept under seal after Allen's arrest. McLeland asked the court to shield it and other records from public view, a request approved by Judge Benjamin Diner, who later recused himself from the case in November. Special Judge Fran Gull of Allen County was appointed to oversee the Delphi case. She authorized the release of the redacted version of the affidavit in November. Yeah, I wonder why. You notice that, the redacted version. There's a less intrusive ways of handling this. You can't go to the blanket gag order when there's other less restrictive means available to you. And this judge understands that. In it, prosecutors said an unspent round found near the girl's body traced back to the gun owned by Allen. McLeland originally motioned for those records sealed. However, it was not made available. Several media organizations filed a request to see the document, including Nexstar Media, Fox 59, SBS 4 parent company. Gull ruled in favor of media interveners this week, making the records available to the public. Oakley Carlson, if you guys remember the case, we talked about this. The mom was in jail for the negligent charges and was slated to be released and walked out of jail just to be arrested on identity theft, several counts of identity theft. And Tuesday, the biological mother of missing a girl from Gray Harbor County is expected into court. These charges are not related to Oakley Carlson's disappearance. She's accused of stealing unemployment benefits from 5 different people. So they're keeping her behind bars, and I'm pretty sure after she's convicted of this and they still don't have enough, they're going to find other charges when she is released from jail again. They are not letting these parents out of their sight. They want them under the control of the state and the county while they investigate the death or the disappearance of Oakley Carlson. And we have to apply the same standard that was applied to Cody Bigsby, that the possibility of this child being alive are nil, because this child of the age that this child is cannot possibly take care of herself all by herself. So the idea that she's living is most likely not true. She's most likely dead, and her parents are the ones responsible. Legislator hold anticipated public hearing on Oakley Carlson Act. You know, these are the types of things that we need to be listening to and working on. And this is emotional testimony from Financial Concerns. SB 1390 says see conflicting perspectives. A public hearing on House Bill 1397, aka Oakley Carlson Act, took place Friday, February 17th before the Washington House Human Services Youth and Early Learning Committee. The committee, which is comprised of 7 Democrats and 4 Republicans, watched and listened as more than hours worth of testimony was given in support and opposition of the proposed legislation. As stated in the writing of House Bill 1397, the bill looks to improve the operation and oversight of Washington's child welfare system. Oversight. That is what every state needs, is oversight. One of the major components of the bill, if passed, would require the Washington State Department of Children, Youth, and Families to perform casework supervision regarding children's unification for a minimum of 5 years before conducting its final hearing and gaining input from the court's decision before closing the case. And I think that is a reasonable resolution, and I'm going to keep this as part of my information that I'm going to be discussing with the attorneys today. These are meaningful resolutions, meaningful legislation that can really help the children. And yes, we need to have some kind of, if a child is removed, they have to have a series of time in which they're in the system to make sure that they're doing everything that they want to do. If it's only for 6 months or a year, we all know that. We've all dated people, right? You can be good for 6 months to a year. It's after that year point or after that 2-year point that you really see the person for who they really are. So this is an important thing. I like the 5 years. I think the 5 years is good in certain circumstances. You know, if it's a misunderstanding, if it's something that didn't have meat to the bone and they're reunified, say they were removed for an array of reasons and those allegations were proven not to be true. No, I don't think that the child or the family should be put through this for 5 years. However, if the allegations have been found to be true and you're reuniting this child with this family that has abused this child in some way or another, yes, they should have to go through the process. And that process needs to be a lengthy amount of time. So does this overwork our social workers? Probably. But you do a lot of meetings up front, right? And as time goes on, you start reducing those meetings. You start reducing those home checks. You start reducing as they phase out of the system. It's a phase out process. And this is a really good legislation. I think this is something that every state across this country should be doing. I mean, our bar should be set way up here when it comes to our children. Way up here. Because our children deserve a fighting chance, even if they're born to despicable parents. Our bar is way down here. Way down here. Something has to be done. This is meaningful legislation, in my opinion. So I would like Oakley Carlson Act to be across this country, not just in her state. but we need these states to start stepping up, because we need at least 35 states. Once we get 35 states on board, we can start making real, meaningful impact across the United States. 35 states, politician. This is not a right-left issue. This is an everyone that lives in America issue. And at the end of the day, we're spending billions of dollars for the welfare of our children, and our children are falling through the crack. That, to me, means that we are peeing our money away and not utilizing it correctly. There should be no excuse for this. None. If we need to throw more money at it, we need to throw more money at it. Or, hey, maybe close the borders. Start taking these drug dealers. You start getting some real therapy. What's the point in arresting and stopping the pill mills and arresting the people that sell drugs? What's the point in that when you're not giving the people any kind of recovery or any kind of addiction therapy? All they're going to do is find somebody else that's going to sell it. We have to have stuff, not just throwing stopping the pill mills. That was the worst thing that Pam Bondi did in the state of Florida when she passed her pill mill legislation and rules, right? She did this. Yeah, was it needed? Of course it was. People were going to these pill mills and getting, buku pills from these doctors that weren't really doctors. They were just drug pushers. But the problem was you just can't have all these people with addictions and shut down their supply because they were just on pills. The majority of them ended up going to H and dying because you shut the pill mills down. But what are you going to do with all the addicts? They had literally no prevention, no therapy for the addicts here. And so many of them lost their lives when they shut those pill mills down because they had to go to a drug, i.e. H, to get the same kind of high that they were getting from their pharmaceuticals. No. And right now, you go to a state or county drug rehab, you've got a waiting list for years. You'll be dead before you even get in. So what's the point? Seriously, what's the point? Anyways, guys, that's all I have for today. That's something to think about. Look at that. I had the whole day, 2 solid hours I was able to talk without opening the phone line. I'm telling you, it's a gift. It really is a gift. I'm just joking. All right, guys, I'm going to start my day. I'm going to get Alex Murdaugh set up, but I'm not going to be here, so we're just going to have to let it run from the beginning. You're going to probably have to sit there and watch the screen until it comes on at 9:30. There's nothing I can do about it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. God bless you. There's not a whole lot I can do about it, but I am going to try to get some stuff done today. I've got a lot on my plate. Hold on, let me just check and make sure I don't have anything that I need to do. Okay, perfect. All right, guys. So that's it. God bless each and every one of you. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, folks, y'all be safe. God bless.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.